And you see it now better than ever with all of the resignations of bad apples. They're bad apples. They tried for a coup, didn't work out so well. And I didn't need a gun for that one, did I? All was taking place at the highest levels in Washington, D.C. You've been watching, you've been seeing, you've been looking at things that you wouldn't have believed possible in our country. Corruption at the highest level, a disgrace. Spying, surveillance, trying for an overthrow. And we caught him. We caught him.
Hello and welcome, fellow digital soldiers, to True Reporting. It is the 28th of April, and on today's podcast, we will be covering Mike Pence. A lot of people have always said that with his beady eyes, he could be a black cat. They don't like his mannerisms. They just don't trust him. And now Q has kind of alluded to that, and I wanted to talk about that here today. So as you can see, that we see from the National Review, it says Pence lashes out at Strzok and Page for talk of infiltrating his transition team. Stuff starts to come out. This is from 2 days ago. And then we see here from CNN, it says Trump's best 2020 move is to dump Mike Pence for Nikki Haley. And following up is Q. Q comes out and says that Pence plus chief of staff plus wife. What is going on? Chain of custody, chain of command. So, are we seeing another Lyndon Johnson here, my friends? A lot could be going on here in the near future with Mike Pence. Also, if you watched the rally last night, what a great rally indeed. His name was not on the Trump 2020 posters that people held up. It only said Trump. So, are we going to see a chain of command switch because Vice President Mike Pence will not be invited back? My friends, before we get into this podcast, would you please go ahead and click the bell so when I post to this channel, you'll get the notification. Also, follow me on Twitter at True Reporting, and don't forget to leave a like. The more likes that this video receives, the more times it is recommended to other viewers, thus more eyes on the truth. And with that being said, my friends, let's go ahead and hop into it. This is True Reporting. Friends, it's good to have you aboard. Let's go ahead and hop into it. This is True Reporting. So as you can see, we're going to start here with Q post 3,330. And it says here, it is a Sarah Carter article, and it says chain of command, chain of custody, Pence's chief of staff plus wife, FBI 302s, FISA spy over Flynn, will newly discovered evidence, AG Barr and the Southern District of New York, free Flynn. Q, absolutely. Let's go ahead and look into this. This is very interesting, my friends. I feel we may have a Lyndon Johnson, who was Kennedy's vice president, in the mix. It says here, breaking, FBI texts show agents discuss recruiting White House sources to spy for Bureau. Senior Republican chairman submitted a letter Thursday to the Department of Justice Attorney General William Barr, revealing new text from the former FBI special agent Peter Strzok to his paramour FBI attorney Lisa Page, showing the pair had discussed attempts to recruit sources within the White House to allegedly spy on the Trump administration. We'll continue on. This is when things get spicy, my friends. The text and sources reveal that Strzok had one significant contact within the White House: Vice President Mike Pence, Chief of Staff Joshua Pitcock, whose wife was working as an analyst for Strzok on the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of the private server. A senior White House official told this news site that Pitcock's wife recused herself from the Clinton investigation as soon as Pence and Trump became the Republican nominees in July of 2016. A senior law enforcement official also told Sarah Carter that Pitcock's wife no longer worked under Strzok after she recused herself from the Clinton investigation. However, my friends, this is big. The text messages uncovered from November 2016 and have left questions lingering about the relationship between Strzok, Pitcock, and his wife among congressional investigators and lawmakers. So, a direct tie to our Vice President, Mike Pence, which is very unnerving. I'm not liking that. So then we see out of the National Review, Pence lashes out at Strzok and Page for talk of infiltrating his transition team. Vice President Mike Pence on Friday condemned the Bellegarde FBI agent Peter Strzok and Justice Department lawyer Lisa Page for discussing the possibility of infiltrating his transition team in a series of text messages reviewed by Republican lawmakers. Pence is demanding further investigation into why Strzok and Page plan to send an agent to his first intelligence briefing as vice president in order to report back on his activities. He says here, I was deeply offended to learn that the two disgraced FBI agents considered infiltrating our transition team by sending a counterintelligence agent to one of my very first intelligence briefings only 9 days after the election. Pence said in a statement provided to Axios, this is an outrage and only underscores why we need to get to the bottom of how this investigation started in the first place. The American people have a right to know what happened, and if these two agents broke the law and ignored long-standing DOJ policies, they must be held accountable. So, continuing on, CNN is saying that Trump's best 2020 move is to dump Mike Pence for Nikki Haley. President Trump's recent stonewalling tactics aimed at blocking Congress' ability to follow up on the allegations detailed in the Mueller report. And they are rooted in belief that he can run out the clock on the Democrats in the House through the 2020 election. Nonetheless, it is strategy fraught with peril, and if the president begins to see a significant erosion in his approval numbers, which he won't, CNN, from Americans tired and endless standoff, he might need to reach deep into his bag of tricks to reset the national narrative. There is one move that could prove to be a complete game changer, naming Nikki Haley, the former UN ambassador and South Carolina governor, as his running mate in 2020. News of a Trump-Haley ticket would be a master role that would upend the 2020 election and could send Democrats into a complete tailspin. So, my friends, you can see that things are changing. Something's happening in the news with Mike Pence. I feel like people know everything, right? Q knows everything, and maybe they're just finding out about Mike Pence. All right, guys, let's check out these memes. This is from Sarah Sanders. She did wonderful at the rally yesterday in Green Bay. She says, liberals said President Trump would lose. He won. Said he colluded with Russia. He didn't. Said he ruined our economy. It's booming. Said he weakened America. Our military has never been stronger. All the liberal lies can't change the fact that the Trump presidency has been a success. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's check this out. This is from an Anon. Very interesting, my friends. Very, very interesting. It says, older post needs to be revisited. Declass, pre or post IG report. Comey, pre or post IG report. C comes before D, Q. So, Comey comes before the D class. Maybe, perhaps. We all know the story, but it is so simply put together, keeping a keeper for the normies. Extremely concise, read on the Hillary, Comey, Rosenstein, Mueller, Clinton Foundation, and the circle jerk in D.C. Incest is incestuous. From 2001 to 2005, there was an ongoing investigation into the Clinton Foundation. A grand jury had been impaneled. Governments from around the world had donated to the charity. Yet from 2001 to 2003, none of those, in quote, donations to the Clinton Foundation were declared. Now, you would think that an honest investigator would be able to figure this out. Guess who took over the investigation in 2002? But he says, I bet you can't guess. None other than James Comey. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? Guess who has transferred in to the Internal Revenue Service to run the tax exemption branch of the IRS? Your friend and mine, our favorite person in the whole world, if you are a Tea Party member, pro-life, or a true voter supporter. Ding, 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 Lois. Be on the lookout, Bolo Lerner. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? It gets better. Well, not really, but I'm sure this is all just a series of strange coincidences, right? There are no coincidences. Guess who ran the tax division inside the Department of Justice for 2001 to 2005? No other than the Assistant Attorney General of the United States, Rod Rosenstein. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Guess who was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation during this time frame? I know it's a miracle, just a coincidence, just an anomaly in statistics and chances, but it was Robert Mueller. What do all four casting characters have in common? They all were briefed and were frontline investigators into the Clinton Foundation investigation. Now that's just a coincidence, right? Okay, let's chalk the last one up to mere chance. Let's fast forward to 2009, shall we? James Comey leaves the Justice Department to go and cash in at Lockheed Martin. Hillary Clinton is running the State Department on her own personal email server, by the way. The Uranium One, in quote, issue comes to the attention of the Hildebeest. Like all good public servants do, looking out for America's best interest. She decides to support the decision and approve the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium to none other than the Russians. Now, you would think that this is a fairly straight up deal, except it wasn't. The people got absolutely nothing out of it. However, prior to the sales approval, none other than Arkansas's Bill goes to Moscow, gets paid $500K for a 1-hour speech, then meets with Vladimir Putin at his home for a few hours. Okay, no big deal, right? Well, not so fast. The FBI had a mole inside the money laundering and bribery scheme. Guess who the FBI director during this time frame was? Yep, Robert Mueller. He even delivered a uranium sample to Moscow in 2009. Guess who was handling that case within the Justice Department of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland? None other than Rod Rosenstein. Guess what happened to the informant? The Department of Justice placed a gag order on him and threatened to lock him up if he spoke about it. Interesting, huh? How about 20% of the most strategic asset of the United States of America ends up in Russian hands with the FBI when the FBI has an informant, a mole providing the inside information to the FBI on criminal enterprise? Guess what happened soon after the sale was approved? $145 million in, quote, donations made their way into the Clinton Foundation from entities directly connected to the Uranium One deal. Guess who was still at the Internal Revenue Service working the charitable division? None other than Lois Bolo Lerner. Lois Lerner. Interesting, huh? Okay, that's all just another series of coincidences. Nothing to see here, right? Let's fast forward to 2015. Due to a series of tragic events in Benghazi, and after the 9 investigations in the House, Senate, and the State Department, Trey Gowdy, who was running the 10th investigation as chairman of the Select Committee on Benghazi, discovered that the Hildebeest ran the State Department on an unclassified, unauthorized, outlaw personal email server. He also discovered that none of those emails had been turned over to, none of those emails had been turned over when she departed her, in quote, public service as Secretary of State, which was required by law. He also discovered that there was a top secret information contained within her personal archived email. Continuing further, this is extremely interesting, my friends. I will spare you the State Department's cover-up, the nostrums they floated, the delay tactics that were employed, and the outright lies that were spewed forth from the necks of Kerry's State Department. We shall leave it with this. They did everything humanly possible to cover for the Hildebeest. Now this is amazing. Guess who became the FBI director in 2013? Guess who secured 17 no-bid contracts for his employer with the State Department and was rewarded with a $6 million thank you present when he departed his employer? None other than James Comey, hit with a $6 million present when he departed his employer just to slide on in and to cover things up furthermore, my friends. Amazing how all those no bids just went right through at state, huh? Now he is the FBI director in charge of the Clinton email investigation after, of course, his FBI investigates the Lois Lerner matter at the Internal Revenue Service and exonerates her. Nope, couldn't find any crimes there. Can you guess what happened next? In April 2016, James Comey drafts an exoneration letter of Hillary Rodham Clinton. Meanwhile, the DOJ is handing out immunity deals like candy. They didn't even convey a grand jury. Like a lightning bolt of statistical impossibility, like a miracle from God himself, like the true gangsta homie is, James stepped out of the cameras of an awaiting press conference on July 8, 2016, and exonerates the Hill Beast from any wrongdoing. Can you see the pattern? I could go on. Rosenstein becomes Assistant Attorney General. Comey gets fired based upon a letter by Rosenstein. Comey leaks government information to the press. Mueller is assigned to the Russian investigation. The sham by Rosenstein to provide cover for decades of malfeasance within the FBI and DOJ, and the story continues. FISA abuse, political espionage, pick a crime, any crime. Chances are this group and few others did it. They're all criminals, my friends. All criminals. The warrior. A warrior is a prosecutor of his family and those in need. A warrior is the guardian of the ways of honor and courage. A warrior will not put his own desires above what is right. Above all, a warrior is always motivated by his utmost duty. D-class is coming, but not before Comey. And finishing up, my friends, it says here, Trump 2020, Trump 2020, make America great again. I do not see Pence's name anywhere near this. I believe he is being erased from this next presidency because maybe he can't be trusted. Maybe he is an LBJ. Maybe he is a black hat, and we are being pushed into knowing that. Very interesting, the ties between Vice President Mike Pence and the FBI lovebirds, his chief of staff, Pitcock, all entangled in this web. We have got to just eradicate it. This is not good for President Trump. Who will be the new vice president? We will find out soon. I'm very sure of that. My friends, if you found this informative and you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter at True Reporting, and don't forget to leave a like. You can donate to this channel by going to my PayPal or my Patreon in the description box below. It would greatly help due to the censorship from YouTube. And friends, please be kind and loving to one another. Hoping this afternoon we will have a live stream call-in show. Fingers crossed. I will talk to you soon, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.